Welcome to Foam Roller 101. For this class, you will need a foam roller, and you will need to ditch your socks. We're going to start at the feet and work our way up. You always want to make sure that you are stable because you are rolling on a piece of foam, so you don't want to fall on your face, basically. So I have my left foot on the foam roller, and I'm just leaning my body. The great thing about a foam roller is it's basically giving you self-massage. You're controlling the amount of pressure on the foam roller. So if I stand up like this and just do this, what am I getting? 0. I lean, getting a little stretch. If my knees are bent, I'm stretching the shins, the calves, working the balance a little bit. This isn't going to be focused on a workout today. This is more how to use the foam roller properly. So I'm putting more pressure now into the heel part of my foot. So I'm really driving the heel and the arch of my foot down on the foam roller. So far my heel has been off the floor. Now I'm going to put my heel on the floor. Some people have trouble just getting their foot on the floor, their heel on the floor. Your heel's on the floor all day long, so I know you can do it. The problem is the flexibility in our foot is not always there. So my leg is straight now. I'm leaning my body forward. So now I'm working deeply into the calf. If I want more, and you can always go next to a wall too. If your balance is wonky at all, if your balance is wonky, you're not going to get as good of a stretch as if you have some stability by holding a wall. So heel to the floor, and your foot might not look like mine. Yours might look like this because maybe you don't have the flexibility in the ankle. That's okay. Wherever you are is perfect. So now I'm touching the wall to give me that little extra stability so I can really lean my torso towards the foam roller. Now it's like killer stretch all in through here. The soleus muscle, the gastrocs, aka the calves. So I think I'll put this one on YouTube so you can do it anytime you want. And then I'm going to roll again. And now I'm still working on the same leg. I can even do the top of my foot. So I'm not putting any pressure. I'm just using it to stretch. My toes are pointed. I can go into a squat. As with any squat, you want to make sure you're bringing your bum back. I'm holding the wall. So you can put all the weight on the front foot as you do a squat back, and then I'm rolling the shin. I turn my foot to the inside, really get into the shin while I'm getting some quad work. Coming on up. Let's work on the other foot. As with everything, one side is not necessarily the same as the other. We usually don't take enough time to stretch or get enough massages, so this gives you a little bit of both, which is great. I prefer the smooth foam rollers because we're trying to stretch the fascia, not punch it in the face. Fascia is just a connective tissue that joins every part of our body together. And that's what we're focusing on when we're doing stuff like this. So you can always hold it. You don't have to roll just because I am. You might find that your balance is better on one side than the other. So now I'm working into the heel. I can even put my foot up like this if I want to get the very back of my heel where the Achilles inserts. Now I'm going to put that heel on the floor if I can. Let's keep the knee bent at first. And I'm pushing down like I'm trying to put all the pressure, the weight of my body through the arch of my foot, the middle of my foot. Should be a strong stretch. So we're going for, you might have discomfort, especially when you're doing foam rolling for the first time. I know I found it quite painful, but like a good pain, if that makes sense. If you find that you're holding your breath or you have like sharpness, you want to stop what you're doing and just don't put so much pressure or weight down. So now to stretch the front, the shin, I straighten the leg, and then I usually have to scooch my other foot forward a little bit and lean, like leaning my hips forward. Foam rolling can be great warm-up before a workout or cool down, working out the knots. And then a couple little rolls again. And we're going to work on the top of the foot like we did on the other side. And again, you don't have to do the squat. You don't have to make it more complicated if you don't want to. It's just if you want to add a little work to it. You can hold a squat, you can do a squat, or you can just stand up and work on the top of the foot. Turning my foot in a little bit now, getting a little stretch as I bring the foam roller down to the top of the toes. Perfect. So now we're going to work on the shins. This one usually gets some screeches from people when we first do it. So I'm going to bring it underneath my shins. I'm going to go sideways so you can see what I'm doing. So let's start with one leg. So my right knee is on the floor. My left shin is on the foam roller. So I'm not putting it under my knee. I'm just going underneath the knee. And same thing, I don't put it, I can go just a little bit above my ankle. So your arms are helping you control your balance and how much weight you put on the foam roller. So if you want more pressure, you lean more into the foam roller. So all I'm doing is I'm putting my stomach right on the foam roller, and to get more pressure, I can rock side to side. You can find any little spots. You'll know when you find them. You can roll up and down or side to side or a little bit of both. Or you can just stay static. So if you find a good spot or if it's too much pressure, you can just stay in one spot. You can change the ankle rotation to change where the foam roller is giving you pressure. You can go into like a pigeon with the leg turned this way. You always want to come out of your position before you change positions, because otherwise you will get onto your face. So I'm in a pigeon pose now. See this leg, I'm working on the side of the leg. And then I'm using my hips to come up and down. Now I'm coming up onto my back toes, like that, and I'm using the back leg to move my body up and down on the foam roller. Now I'm going to, this is a bit more advanced, but move the foam roller higher up underneath my thigh. So I'm working the top part of my pigeon, the back of the leg, maybe a little bit of the side of the leg. We're going to come back to that area. Let's work on the other shin. So the right leg, I'm turning my foot in because I don't feel much on that side, on that leg. If the foam roller is too painful, you can always start with a pool noodle as well. You can get the larger ones that are as wide as this one. It doesn't matter how long it is. I mean, you want it this long, but if it's longer, that's fine too. So the thing with the bumpy ones is you won't be able to roll as smoothly. You won't be able to get the pressure across the fascia like I want you to. You just might get bruises. I fell asleep on one of those once. I woke up with a lot of bruises. Now you have to be pretty comfortable with it to fall asleep on it. So I'm coming up on the back toes. And don't be surprised that even though we're not jumping up and down, you still get warm doing this. We're releasing all kinds of blood, which makes you warm, tension. So now I'm going to go into the pigeon, so working the top. And pigeon, if you're like this, you're not doing a pigeon, you want to have your leg to the side as much as possible. And that way you're not putting pressure on the knee. So this one I like to go side to side. And you can go up and down looking for any spots. I can also come up on the back knee to help guide me. So now I'm going to come off of that very ungracefully. I'm going to put the AC on. I'll be right back. So now what I'm going to do is both shins at the same time. You want to make sure your foam roller is in place, your hands are in place, one leg at a time. Ooh, that's the stuff. Bring my mic a bit closer. And then I'm using my toes again to guide me. I'm pretty sure the first time I did this, there was tears in my eyes, and now it feels great. So don't be discouraged. If you've got good balance, you can take your feet off the floor. You can use your core to draw your knees up, so you get a little bit of abdominal work. And I find right in the middle. There's one point of caution, I would say, for the lower legs. Right here. The nerve you don't want to be pressing in on. There's no advantage. Also, if you have varicose veins, there's no advantage to pushing in on those. You're just going to pain. And you're not going to help your veins. You can't rub those out. So now we're going to work the quadriceps, the thighs. So similar, I'm going to bring the opposite leg forward. And then bring it above my knee, and then lean my body back. See where my other knee is? So here I get a difference depending on the rotation of my hip, which I control like this with my leg. So I can have my foot like pointing the floor. I can work on the inner thigh by turning my foot out. Or I can work on the outside of the thigh, where there's always some good stuff, by turning my foot in. You can also come down to the forearms, connect your wrists a bit. And also I like that because you can get more pressure on the foam roller. This is another one that was, well, still brutal, let's be honest, but in a good way. So I like to go right to the side, almost to the IT band, but not quite. It's a bit controversial whether there's any point in rolling out the IT band or not. That's the banded tissue on the very side of your leg, so I like to go just ahead of it and just behind it to work on the edge of it. So knots and tension in the legs can definitely lead to back pain, hip imbalances, things like that. So you don't want to ignore the legs. We're going to work on the other leg. More important to work what you need to work on versus doing exactly what I'm doing. You can also change the pressure by contracting the muscle you work on. So if you have that under your thigh, you flex your foot and you roll it versus point your toes with fingers. Even with this one, you can use your core. So I'm pulling in my belly button and I'm hiking my hips, which means just like lifting them up, just using the power of my abdominals. Takes the pressure off the foam roller, puts it into the core. So essentially a bit of both. So finding any spots, hanging out, into the torture. But remember, you have control over how much pressure. So if it's too much, ease up. You don't want to create more problems. I'm turning my foot in now. And then rolling the leg behind me. So I might not do exactly the same on one leg as the other, but we're definitely going to be working all areas. I can go up into the hip, into the front of the hip, avoiding the privates, obviously. So I can turn, let's turn to our side now. So I put the foam roller to my right side, and I'm going to sit adjacent to it. Then I'm going to lean, and I'm just rocking forward and back. So that controls how much pressure, where the pressure is going, working into the hip, side of the glute. I can lean way back. I can bring my bum right up on it. If it's important that you've got a leg on the floor, at least one leg on the floor, so you can ease in and out of that. If you get any shooting pains down the leg, you could be on your sciatic nerve, and so move. No advantage to that. So now, I'm going to come down to the forearm if I want more pressure. If I don't, I can stay up where I was. So I'm right here. I never want to go into the lower ribs, the floating ribs. Hurt your ribs doing that. In no time in a foam roller class will you see me in the lower ribs. Basically the side of the butt. So now what I'm going to do is roll my body forward and then roll it back. My lower leg is bent for now. If I want more pressure, I can straighten out that lower leg, and then I move my upper leg behind me. So I still have control. And then you can control where that foam roller goes. So I can go right to the side, or I can lean back a little, work into the glute. I can move the foam roller. Feels really good. When my knee is bent, it opens up the hip joint so I can work on where all the muscles insert. All the good stuff. This is definitely one that might be too much at first. We have to ease into this guy. So at no point when I'm doing this should I feel any sharp pain in my low back. So I'm trying to find the top of the leg bone, the femur, and then I'm rolling the foam roller on top of it. Looking for the ouchies. That's what we need to work out. Let's do the same on the other side. So I'm going to start with the less pressure, so just having it next to me on the floor, leaning, that might be enough. You can tuck it in closer. In front and back. I don't know why other people wear striped shirts, they look cute, and I look like a Hamburglar. Especially when I'm wearing a mask, I guess. So, let's bring the hip on the foam roller. We'll start with the knee bent. Then I can straighten that leg. Don't be surprised if one side is different than the other. On this side, for me, it feels like I should be more straight up and down. That's where I need it, versus to the side. So there's ways you can do that. Just changing the position of my body. I can rock forward, back and forth, side to side. Now I'm going to basically sit on it. My arms, oh God. Didn't even let you look. With my arms behind me. So it's underneath my tailbone. If you need to bring it down, down. So 2 hands are on the floor, 2 feet are on the floor. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my left leg, cross it over, keep a space there, so keep that left knee open. So that changes the angle again, and I'm going to go side to side. See how my knees come in and then out. So this is upping the intensity, full show. You may not need to do this. So basically you stick to any level where you're feeling like it's helpful. And a knee angle. So we're going to do the same on the other side. In yoga, we always say windshield wiper knees here. If you need to give your arms a rest, because there's pins and needles, go for it. And if you have short arms like me, you may find like a yoga block is helpful to bring the floor up higher. And now we're going to bring the other leg up. And you may need to shift the foam roller down. So with our shapeshifter class, what we do is we incorporate this kind of movement into a strength training workout. So you're putting tension into the muscles with the strength training, and then you're working them out with the foam roller. But you can always just do the foam roller, get things worked out a bit, especially if you don't get regular massage. If you have chronic tension, very helpful, along with the massage ball. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ones. This one's underneath the calves. I can do like this. I can do like this. So I'm starting with easy and making it more pressure. I can bring my body forward to bring more weight into it. Calves tend to be super tight, so this might be enough. If you want more again, you can cross your leg over, side to side. We already worked at the calf, so I'm not going to spend much time on these. Just make sure we're even both sides. Then if you want to make it more of a workout, you can lift your hips off the floor and roll. So this is using my arms, shoulders, core. And then so you can go up and down, or you can just hold your hips up. Or what I really like is side to side. Ouch. Let's do the other side just so we're even. Give the hands a shake. You want to make sure you're not so distracted that you're hurting your wrists. Side to side. Rocky, rocky. So you can do the same exact movement with the hamstrings. So just moving it above your knee if you want. I don't find as much pressure on that one, even though it seems to be popular. What I prefer for my hamstrings, I'll get you to stand up. Good old-fashioned stretch. So I take my foam roller, keep your knees a little bit bent, bring it out as far as you can away from you. Straight legs, straight arms. Open the legs out a little bit, and then hinge forward at the hips, keeping the legs straight. Arms are on either side of my ears, and breathe. Relaxing the back, letting the chest come forward. Now it's fine if you have to bend your knees to do this, but you won't be stretching your hamstrings, you'll be stretching more the hips and low back, which is okay. Deep breath into the back of the legs. As you exhale, imagine that tension just melting into the floor. Moving on down, I'm going to show you another option if your hamstrings are too tight that you can do that. So legs out, foam roller away, and I'm going to roll. So the longer my arms go away from me, the more I stretch out, the better. So you don't need to spend 45 minutes rolling out your body, even if you have 5 minutes. At the end of the day, it's all going to help. Or if you you have it next to the couch, just roll out something during the commercials maybe. As long as you don't have a cat like mine who likes to sharpen their claws on the foam roller. So I'm going to work on the inner thighs now, which can be quite good for knee pain depending on what's going on. So I'm on the side of my left hip, taking inside of my right thigh, putting the foam roller underneath. And then I come up on my hands and I roll. This can be very tender, especially if you have knee issues or if you're a runner. So this can be good for preventing knee issues. So right here, where it's like, ay, ay, ay. So you control the pressure. You can come down to your forearms and roll out a little bit higher. Again, you're not going up as far as the groin. Just as far as the inner thigh. You can also, this one's a bit trickier. I'm bending the leg, and now it's like I'm twisting my body, my torso. I only just started doing this one, so it's very tender. Move that down. See how I'm sort of wagging my knee bent? Or you can stay in one spot. Bring to the other side. Okay, so I'm going to roll my leg on that. Position it so it's further away, so it's more of a stretch. Just hold it out. So now I'm going to work on my forearms. It's really good if you're on the computer a lot, or if you use your arms at work, or if you're on your phone all the time. So my thumb is down. Same principles apply. Arm is straight. I'm going to bring my fingertips to the ceiling. Flexing my hand to my wrist. Contracts those forearm muscles. So if you've ever had tendonitis, tennis elbow, same principle applies. I'm not going into the elbow. So you never want to go into this part of your elbow because the nerves are too close to the surface, or this part back in the knee. You want to avoid those spots. Or here. So it might look like I'm going into my elbow, but what I'm doing is I'm taking all the pressure off, putting lots of pressure here, and then taking pressure off and rolling it up so it's working the biceps. So I'm in like a child's pose position, working up into the bicep. Usually surprising how tender that is for people. So I'm going to bring it up now. I'm going to put it on a diagonal. I'm going to work into this part of the front of my shoulder and up into the pecs, side of my chest. So you can go front to back, side to side, whatever feels good. You can put that same arm behind your back. if you have rotator cuff issues, this might be restricted for you. Rated R for restricted range of motion. So just go within your own pain tolerance. So I can just, lots of tight fascia usually right there. For some people, they don't feel it at all. I can also work the other side. So I was doing this part of my arm. Now I can do the flexors. So all these are all the extensors that do this. These are the flexors that do this. So if you've ever had what's called golfer's elbow, that tendon inserts here. So then we're going to go up into the tricep. Usually quite a tender spot for people. It would be very helpful to work that out. I can go like I did with my leg, arm side to side, or roll and put pressure. Woo! As a massage therapist, this is one that is very beneficial for me. I know hairdressers, dental hygienists, dentists, same thing. It's a really good spot. People that breastfeed, this is an area that tends to get quite tight because we're doing this all the time, right? So now I'm going to do, not under the armpit, just a little bit lower than the armpit. Remember, avoiding those lower ribs. So I'm basically working the side of the chest, forward and back. Trying to get in front of the shoulder blade. So I can spend a lot of time like that. I can turn it into a side crunch. Opening up as I come down. Contracting. So I'm working my obliques on the other side and also getting that pressure. So I'm going to move to the other arm. Doing the same ones. Starting with the thumb down. To pause. This, if you find a spot that you're like, ooh, I need to spend 5 minutes there. I'm going to turn my thumb towards the ceiling now. I'm doing the same things, just in a different order. I can go into the tricep on this arm. Rolling my body forward. I can turn my arm to the side. Looks easy, but it's not. It's tight. So I'm going to work the bicep. You can change how your hand is, the rotation of your arm. Still above. There's a logo on the foam roller. It's a little dark against the mat. Rolling into the bicep, and I'm going to come into the front of the shoulder, side of the chest. Make sure you don't get your hair caught. So again, I'm leaning forward to get to the top of the pecs. Don't put any pressure into your neck, please, with any of these. Or on top of the collarbone. I'm underneath. So I'm right here. You know, the collarbone is pretty fragile. So we're going to work the lats again. So the side, rolling front and back. Side of the chest. And I can use my body, roll away, move the foam roller up higher. I can lean way in front. You usually see a lot of these cases in class, and a lot of F-bombs when they're doing this. And some people They're like, I'm feeling it. So now we're going to do my favorite. So I'm going to put it across like this, and I'm going to put it across the middle of my back where my bra strap is. So if you don't wear bras, if you were to wear a bra, where your bra strap would be across your back. You don't want to stick, you don't want to be on those lower ribs. So taking your time, if this is your first time doing it, easing down. You can start with like one side, lean back just like we did with the legs. I can put my hands behind my head, make sure you grab your hair if you have long hair. Hands behind the head. Now I'm putting it underneath the middle of the back. I can lift the hips up and roll. No pressure in my neck at all. I'm using my heels to guide me, elbows to the ceiling. So if that's too much, you can keep your bum on the floor and lean back. Or you can let your elbows come out to the side to just release the chest. I'm bringing my knees together, feet out to the edge of the mat, taking the pressure off my low back. If you don't have the flexibility to do this with your neck, you can just keep your head up. Just make sure you're lifting your head with your arms, not your neck muscles. Get my hips up again. And I'm going to the top of my shoulders, but again, not going anywhere near the neck. Just the top of the shoulders. Feels awesome. Elbows to the ceiling. We'll get the shoulder blades out of the way. Get all the meaty stuff, the meaty bits. So you can make these movements big or small. Bringing my bum down and letting the chest stretch. Bring your arms above your head. Or out to the side is quite nice too. If for any reason this makes you dizzy, or you have high or low blood pressure that's not controlled, you don't want to have all the blood rushing to your head like this. If not, it feels great. You can also straighten up the legs if it doesn't hurt the back. You can bring your arms overhead. So if you do have any of those things, tinnitus or anything like that, you can put your hands behind your head. It's less of a distance for your head to go, or you can grab yourself a pillow. And I should also say that, like, let's say you have a really hard foam roller, you're not used to it or it's too painful, you can take a fluffy towel and wrap it around it. So that just softens it a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it vertically. I'm going to start it middle back, and then I'm going to lie on. So it's directly underneath my spine. The size is perfect for this. I think this one is 6 by 18 diameter. 6, length 18. You can work with whatever you have. I'm just imagining there's a weight inside of my elbows, pulling my arms towards the floor, relaxing the neck, turning the head left to right. And if you can, stay a few minutes here. Most of the time I find that people with neck pain is actually a lot of tension in the shoulders. So spend a lot of time in the shoulders. So I'm going to roll to one side. Forward. Sitting up. During a breath. Namaste. And if you're thinking, You don't want to spend 50, 60 bucks. That's cheaper than one massage. So it's a good investment if you're going to use it. If you're not going to use it, don't waste your money. Get a foam roller or get a pool noodle for $5. They're probably on sale now. Hi.